hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm gonna bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony. Thank
you. What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm gonna bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm gonna bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. What the hell do you?
Soothing words of Tony Stewart right there to bring us back in. It is hashtag Real Race Talk, the Revved Up Sports Show. Back at it. Couple of weeks of hiatus. There's been some stuff going on, but we're doing it once again. Thank you all for being a part of the live cast with us. Showtime Bobby Chaffee down south. I'm Rodney Rodriguez up north, and we're going to talk some racing. We're going to talk some racing, Bobby. How about that, man? Back at it again. I think people thought we quit. People thought we kind of quit on this thing.
Well, I mean, we were in different spots with different locations. So, I mean, it came, we were, crossing felt like we were passing in the midnight. What is it? Passing midnight, ships passing in the midnight or whatever the hell it is,
Yeah, absolutely. No, one of those things, we had, we had the internet problems. I mean, hotel Wi-Fi, all these different things that do cause a problem. So, but we got it all figured out. I mean, a little bit of a break, kind of let things reset a little bit, I think is kind of what was happening there. I think it all worked out for the best.
What is it about the heart going sorrow or whatever, partying makes the heart go sour.
Yeah.
I can't talk for shit tonight. It's going to be one of them nights. I ain't gonna be able to say shit right. So
it's like,
y'all get ready, start taking shots for every time I misspeak tonight.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That's the one I was looking for. There you go.
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing. I did have some people reach out. I was like, hey, what's going on? And, I think people figured out what's going on. So anyway, it's all good, but we're going to do it once again. And of course, we are doing it live right here, of course, on RevvedUpSportsShow.com, Facebook, X, Racing America, lots of different places that you can consume all of this. And again, you can catch all of the replays available at any time as well. So as we go diving in here, I think we're at the end of the season. I mean, at least around here in Texas.
I think that's it because they rescheduled the I-37 big $10,000 to win IMC Modified show is set to be, I think, the first weekend there in February.
Mm-hmm.
So that that was a surprise move. I was surprised to see it that early because even weather can be questionable at that point of the year too. So, because that's right. Actually, it's right around my birthday on that Sunday, the 2nd. So it it varies. Some years is really nice, but other years it's ice cold and snow on the ground and ice on the ground and all kind of stuff. So you never know what that weather's going to do that for end of January, first part of February.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they get over there. I mean, because it really is. You never know what you're going to get, and I did think that was a little bit of a gamble right there to do it that early because I mean the weather. Because I can tell you one damn thing: it sure as shit doesn't feel like holidays around here right now. I mean, I was. The last couple of weeks in Missouri, I mean, my first day in Springfield, it was, I think, 15. And then I went to St. Louis, day number 1 to be at Gateway, at the Gateway Nationals. I walked out of the hotel and it was 17, felt like 4. I mean, so to come back home to this.
Come back here and it's in the 80s.
Yeah, man, it's like, come on. I mean, I was outside doing some stuff today. I was sweating my ass off. And it's like, this really doesn't feel like December to me, but this is what we have here, and I'm just glad that the 37 show's going to get that it's going to be that it's rescheduled then, because I think what they're going to afford themselves is the chance to really get some folks to come in before some of the other stuff really starts cooking.
Well, it's the catch-22. Do you want to do it at the end of the year after everybody's done point chasing? Do you do it at the beginning of the year when nobody started chasing points yet? You guys got brand new cars, so it's kind of just that toss-up, which is going to be the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. So we'll see how that all works out for them. And we do have to say, I mean, and of course on the show tonight, scheduled to join us, and we always say because we're live, we are live. We don't. Every now and then we may have to record a segment on the other show that I do. I have to record stuff because it gets a little out of control sometimes. But this show is going to be live, and it will continue to be live as long as we're doing this because it's kind of one of those things to where even when we get in trouble, it's like, man, that's kind of the cool part, where it's like when the shit hits a fan, it's like, okay, how are we going to figure this out? So when we talk about guests, it's always scheduled to join us. Larry Blount, car owner there for the winning driver, who we'll talk about in a minute, at the Snowball Derby over in Pensacola. Shelby Williams, the winner over at the Outlaw 34 in the IMCA stock cars, which, by the way, those cars look really badass over there at the race ranch. And then the man that won it, Mason Martin, will join us, and he'll talk about the $3,400 payday that he took home. But, Bobby, we've got to rave because we haven't had a show since we've been doing this or the last couple of weeks. How about our dude, Caden Honeycutt? I mean, boom, boom. We've been calling it for so long. He goes out there. I think people know who the hell this dude is right now.
I think finally, I mean, we didn't get a chance to talk about it right after the Derby, but definitely, I think that while his name was on the map, right, it's now stamped in ink on the map. It's not handwritten in a pencil anymore. You could definitely say that about Caden when trying to, he's been impressive in his his truck starts for Nice Motorsports, running up front, getting some good publicity, getting some good TV time there, but then just winning the big one, winning the granddaddy of them all. There at the Snowball Derby in convincing fashion over some very big heavy hitters. So that, I mean, when you're coming to the line and beating Ty Majeski and Stephen Nasse, that's pretty impressive. You're in pretty elite company at that point. So that's pretty cool for both him and Larry.
I think that was one of those things where when that race was coming to the end, and you talk about the respect factor and everything sometimes from time to time that may be missing with some different things right there. Nasse, when he dove into turn 3 right there, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, because that was one hell of a run that he made right there. I wouldn't say it was a bonsai run that he made, but I'm just kind of holding on right there, hoping that Caden's going to be able to hold on. But I mean, Nasse raced him nice and clean. And, the conversation afterwards with Stephen Nasse was like, this is a good driver right here. I think the coolest part for me was where I was, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I was gushing about this on that Sunday night, was the fact that we have watched this guy for so long and we've known the talent right there. And he really is a genuinely good dude. And
he texted me back. I texted him that next morning and say, hey, I've been a little busy. But it's pretty kick-ass to see you and JC win the Derby. And he was like, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude. And that's the other part right there where you get the JC shot. And see, this is where we say, Bobby, all the time, when you come on the Revved Up Sports Show, really, really good things are going to happen, because JC was on this show and was talking about right before that about what they were going to do. And to be able to put that together right there. And it was really gratifying, I think, for a lot of us to see that, one of our dudes got in there and won a huge race.
So now the question is, there was something about being the first Texan to win it. Was Freddie considered, was he living in Louisiana when he won it? Or was he not the Beaumont Flyer at that point when he won the Derby?
I think he was the Beaumont Flyer by that point. But if you remember, when we talked with him, he did tell us that he's originally from Tennessee. And I think that's where that has kind of worked itself into where Freddie Fryer was from Tennessee. But he did take Beaumont on kind of in his handle right there with what he did. Dennis checking in right here on I think it's on the Facebook feed. Dennis McMullen, thank you for checking in. Don't forget Derek Thorne and Jeremy Doss. I mean, it is. I mean, this is one of those things to where Caden Honeycutt wins this race there with Larry and everything that they did right there. And it wasn't one of these things to where you didn't have, Bubba was there, Nasse was there, those two dudes were there. I mean, you had everyone who is anyone in super late model racing right there. And this team goes out there, and Larry will talk about it in a minute, but they go out there and they win this. And like you said, in dominating fashion over two of the baddest asses that you're going to find.
No, I mean, it was great. It was great. I got the chance to go back and watch a little bit of the replay, some of the highlights. And so for every bit that I saw was just, kind of a typical Hayden Honeycutt race for us.
Mm-hmm.
Just what we've known about him and what we've seen about him and watched him over the course of the last, 15, 18 years or so since he started running Bandoleros. Like, you just know that you just knew that there was something going to be special. It's always about timing, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you get the right opportunity, like when he gets in those niche trucks, he sits there and does very well in those with the right opportunity. Sometimes pit crew lets him down, but and he's done very well. He did great with his opportunity with Donnie Wilson a couple of years ago. That kind of people started recognizing the name, but now instead of recognizing the name, now they know the name, and that's a huge difference.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that is the thing with Caden, because And I heard it mentioned at some point to where somebody finally picked up on what we've been talking about on this program for a long time. It's like I heard him say, well, this guy's a pretty good dirt track driver. No, he's not a pretty good dirt track driver. He's a badass dirt track driver. And so I think that he very much fits the mold, in my opinion, with the guys that we talk about, like Memphis and Jared Maupin. Again, Jared Maupin with a solid weekend over at the race ranch. And Jared Maupin goes out and, damn, he was this close to winning that truck race that Caden wound up winning, after whatever went down there. But it was that's kind of the new hybrid real race driver to me, as a guy that can do both disciplines. And I think that's super important right now.
Did I see you the Vado Speedway Park promo for Caden Honeycutt? They're promoting him coming to their big show.
Is that
right? They're in January, so they've already said coming off a big win in the Snowball Derby asphalt. Here comes the gonna run his black number 10 car. So they were promoting him doing that. So it's a big deal. It crosses over. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like we know from our friends over at Sirius XM NASCAR Channel 90 that they only talk about. Well, now they talk about Cars Tour a lot, but before Junior and them took over the Cars Tour, they talked about 2 races outside of NASCAR, and both of them happen to happen in the off season. But they talk about the Snowball Derby and they talk about the Chili Bowl.
Yeah.
And so I think that now that it's there, because it's funny, depending on who you talk to, it was either Texas short track ace Caden Honeycutt, NASCAR driver Caden Honeycutt, Craftsman Truck Series driver Caden Honeycutt, dirt driver Caden Honeycutt, whatever. Depending on which avenue you were going down, which theme they were going for, that's depending on what you saw, what his background was for winning the Snowball Derby.
Yeah. And I think that's another good point that Dennis brings up right there in the live chat. And again, you guys feel free to do that as well. If you're on the Texas Sports Unfiltered free app, if you're on the audio thing and you want to check in as well, 512-222-9328. You can hit the CODA text line there, and we'd love to share your thoughts as well. But you did have, you had some stuff that happened during that race, but as that race progressed and everything that was going on right there, it was a very clean race. These guys got out there and they just drove. They just got out there and raced, which was really cool to see, especially coming off the Bigley, to where you kind of did have those 2 races back to back where you had guys that just got out there and drove. And that's promising. That's promising. The bump and runs at the end of the races and all that. It's like I said there with Nasi, and that's not a slap at him. It's just kind of the nature and the trend that we see, to where you're waiting for that. You didn't see that. They just raced. They just raced themselves as clean as they could, but yet at the same time very aggressive.
Well, you knew he was coming. Last lap, I'm sure Caden started pinching that seat just a little bit. But I was surprised. It was the classy, nasty aspect of it. He went in there full bore. It just couldn't get to him. So that was that makes for an interesting finish. When you don't have the bump and runs and the slide out of the ways, ass slappers and stuff like that into the fence. So they had enough of that in the pro late model race and the outlaw race. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You did have, so much of that to where you're thinking, holy smoke, what's coming up? And you didn't see it there at the end of the race. So again, another home run there for the Snowball Derby, and it's really cool that you did have. And I think that, and I may be way out of line right here, but I think what this may be is that maybe we're seeing a little bit of the changing of the guard in the super late model stuff. You're still going to have Bubba and Steven and these guys that are going to do really, really good things, but I think that maybe now, like for these new teams and so forth, I think that maybe we're going to start to see some other folks start to assert themselves and win some of these big races.
Well, it just takes so many resources. Like we had talked about before, talking to JC, that the Snowball Derby is a tire selling machine.
It is.
And the guys that are able to kind of limit some of the tires they're buying and stuff like that, and run on old tires, get the cars to work on old tires, and then they end up coming up with the new tires to make it faster. I thought that lap that Caden laid down in qualifying was going to end up being on the pole. And then Majesty just come out of nowhere and just blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
So I think that I think that they were biding their time correctly of most things, and so they ended up just having a really good run. He was there from start to finish. You knew that he was going to be there for 4 races, and wins the truck race. Should have won the. What else was he in the modified race? Should have won the modified race too. So the motor blew up. So.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, talking there about Caden Honeycutt. I mean, let's get the full story right here. We go to the Revved Up Hotline presented by On Demand Shirts, and it is the winning car owner right there, the number 21 at the Snowball Derby, driven by Caden Honeycutt, is our man Larry Blount. Larry, how we doing, sir?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Man, we are doing extremely well. Most importantly, how are you doing, man? This is so exciting to see your team put this together.
I'm doing great. You know, still, I mean, me and the guys text back and forth every day with pictures of our car in Victory Lane. We kind of still don't believe it. We worked so hard for it over all the years, and when it finally happens, you don't really believe it, but it happened. You know, so it's real.
Absolutely.
So, Larry, this race has gotten so big. Obviously, with the implementation of Flow Sports covering it, made it even feel like it even bigger this year. In your experience running in the Derby in the past, how much has it changed? Just even within the last 5 to 10 years, in your mind, has it just gotten too big, or what's the, I mean, I know it's the crown jewel of a lot, but how much has it changed for you guys and your race team in the last 5 to 10 years?
Well, I mean, technology has come a long way, and it's making it very expensive. But I mean, honestly, the fields are smaller than they used to be, but they're super competitive. There used to be 80 cars for the Derby, 70, 60, 70, 80. And, now there's 50, but, you've got 36 cars. Everybody can win it. There's not just 10 or 12 guys that can win it. So like you said, 2.2 tenths first to 30th, you have to be very lucky to win. You have all the pieces in place, but a lot of things got to go your way to win that race.
No doubt about it. So, Larry, let's kind of talk about the evolution, how this race came to be. I mean, for you, I've actually called some of your races there along the East Coast right there with you racing in that number 21 car with so it's very familiar livery right there to see you out there. Kind of talk about how this whole deal came together, because I know you've got Jet involved, and then JC Umshide, another one of our Texans, comes along, and then you get this wheelman right here. How did all this happen for you?
Well, I mean, it goes way back to, about 2015, when I let Ryan lose to drive my car, and Jason's crew chief, and we won a couple races, and he won a championship. And, we've had a relationship. But honestly, I raced against Pat. Me and him, we live a mile apart. And, we're the only guys living in that asphalt race, and we've always been good friends. But, we joined up and we raced together, and we've had guys in the cars, and Caden's been in the car, and he's been in Pat's cars, and he's testing my stuff. So, Jeff Sandlin was a big advocate for Caden. We just had to put the pieces together. It's hard to get guys in your car. You have to run some races to be competitive. And we decided to put Caden in the car. We really wanted to run all the Blizzard races with Caden, but the truck deal, took precedence over that. But, he actually ran the last Blizzard race with us. And car was really good. We had an engine problem with, halfway through the race and had to drop out. But, everybody put the pieces together, including Jeff and Pat and me, to get Caden in the car, because, we know Caden and we know what he can do behind the wheel. And as Pat Jet would always say, you need a connector in the car, and that's the connector from the steering wheel to the gas pedal.
That's right.
And Caden's that guy.
That's right.
So, Larry, talk about, I've always been intrigued by the way that Five Flags does the combo races, where you do like the Southern Super Series points, and then you do the Blizzard points, and then you try to work in provisionals at the Derby. From a car owner perspective, is that extra pressure on you guys, because you've got 2 or 3 points to look at in a given night? Like, if you have an engine failure at a Blizzard race, it's going to knock you down in a couple of points. Or is it just one of those things, it's just another race, go out, see what happens, and just race the hell out of that car, right?
Well, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you want to run if you're not running the Southern Super Series 4 Tour, you want to run the Blizzard races because you want to be in the top 10. To get you through tech. You want to be in the top 3 at least, so that if you have an issue in qualifying, maybe that provisional comes your way. So there is some strategy in play, but this year we didn't have that luxury because we weren't in the points. So we pretty much we had to either qualify in, race in, or whatever, because we had nothing to fall back on. But yeah, I mean, you got to run those races to be competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. So Larry, we were talking about right before you came on, just kind of the whole makeup of that race. I mean, the Derby is the Derby. I mean, there's money on the line, the prestige, everything that happens right there. But Caden and these guys, when it came down to the end of the race, I mean, that was some really damn good racing. I mean, we've seen the Derby go completely off the rails when you get towards the end of this thing. But you had the cream of the crop right there, and these guys sure as hell did put on a really, really damn good show at the end of the race.
Well, I mean, I'm on the radio, and I was pacing. I couldn't even watch the last 15 laps. I mean, I could see the car go by, but I had to be by myself because, I mean, in the past, I've been in the pit area, and I get involved. I get too involved, and I let them guys do their deal. But, JC called an awesome race. We had an awesome weekend. We did everything right. We left no stone unturned on that car. We did everything. We've been beat a lot by stuff on a car, and we learned what not to do and what to not overlook. And we didn't overlook anything down to a tie wrap. Wow. So JC called a great race. It's a team effort. The spotter did a great job. JC made the right call at the end of the race, and Caden, of course, he got up on the wheel and did what he was supposed to do, and that's why he was in the car.
Absolutely.
So, Larry, did they give you guys 2 trophies, one for the owner, one for the driver? Because I'm pretty sure Caden wouldn't want to let that thing go with that little snowball on top of that thing. How does that work? Does he get the trophy? You get the trophy? How do they do that over there?
So I told Caden, you get one trophy at the track, right? So there was 2 trophies. You had the steering wheel trophy. So I told Caden, I said, after tech, whenever they put the trophies on the car, I said, those are your trophies. He's like, man, are you giving me the big trophy, the original? I said, it's your trophy. He said, you take the other trophy. Now, we, as a team, can get as many trophies as we want. So, we order the trophies and we order the rings. So I'm getting all my crew 5 flags, championship rings, and some of them want trophies, so they're going to get trophies too.
That's right.
But there's only one original trophy, and Caden's got that one.
That's cool. Like the clocks at Martinsville, kind of how you can do that too. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and most tracks do that. 5 flags always does it. Nashville does it. Winchester, you can get the additional stuff.
Yeah.
Which makes it good for your owners and your sponsors, take care of them.
Absolutely. So Larry, kind of following along there on Facebook, where I reached out to you about being on our program, and thank you for doing this.
Sure.
I noticed that it was a few days, like you said, the pictures are more and more. How long did you kind of sit back there and just let this all soak in to what you guys accomplished? That had to have been something to where it's like you had to decompress a little bit before you were really ready to talk about what you guys just did.
Well, I mean, I haven't been on Facebook for a year and a half.
That's what I noticed.
And so my wife's on Facebook. So when it happened, my Facebook, she said, your Facebook's blowing up. And I said, well, I'm not on Facebook. She said, I'm going to put it back on your phone. You can take it back off in January, but you need to talk to these people. These are your friends and everything. But, I mean, honestly, I'm a realist. I go back to work and I run a business, and, I've watched the Snowball Derby that we won multiple times, and it doesn't get old.
No,
man. I just got a text from Pat Jett, and it's the picture of the car in the shop with the snow, with the banner under the hood saying champions. He doesn't believe it either.
Yeah.
But we just have to keep sending each other that stuff because, when we get, I told the guys the other day, when I get that trophy in my office, it'll be real.
Absolutely.
But it is real. And a lot of people deserve this race. A lot of people deserve to win it that work just as hard as we do, but they haven't. And we have, so I don't apologize for that one.
I heard that.
No reason to apologize for a big win, dude. No doubt about it. Let's talk about JC again for a second. I think that we've known JC since he was a kid. He's actually my age, and I've known him when his dad was racing super late models back in the late 80s. It's crazy to think that he's done so much stuff that doesn't get enough credit for. Do you think this is going to be kind of like a deal with Caden? Like, I don't know if you heard us describing Caden. We've known him for years too. It's like before Caden was, written down in pencil as somebody who they thought they knew. Now he's got it stamped on papers. You think that's going to do the same thing for JC? Kind of move him up in the ladder, some of this super late model and truck series stuff?
I don't know what JC wants to do. I don't know if he's going to do trucks or if he's going to do late models, but no matter what he does, he's going to be good at it. He can write his ticket. Anybody would want him. Anybody, he's a great coach. He's a great crew chief. He's very calm and decisive. I've been around a lot of them, and I listened to a lot of them. And he's no nonsense. He gets the job done like if you're running a business, how you want your people to do it. He does it that way, and that's what I like about him.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very much so. And he learned that from his dad. And it was really cool to see David there, a part of that. Like Bobby was talking about David, we all go back so far. It's funny, Larry, I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks back, right after you guys won that race. And I said, man, I've been interviewing Caden since he was a kid. And they're like, well, he's still a kid. I mean, he's still very much a kid, but talk about that part, because Caden Honeycutt, to me, it's always been very impressive that he's a very young man, no doubt about it, very talented young man. But at the same time, he's going to work on that race car. He's going to be a team player. He's not one of these dudes that's going to disappear when it's time to, when the work is over. This guy just works his ass off. That's all he does. That's all he knows.
Yeah, he's a hard worker. He's very intense. We've had a lot of intense drivers, and I'll say Caden, we had Corey Hine. Corey Hine's super intense. He's locked in. He doesn't care about anything but winning and studying and being better at his craft. And Caden's just like that. But I think Caden's a little step farther because Caden has multiple disciplines. He can drive a dirt car. He can drive pretty much anything. And he wants to win so bad. He wanted to sit on the pole. He doesn't care what facet it is. He wants to be the best.
Yeah.
And we have to calm him down a little bit. JC's very good at that. And Caden's going to go a long way if everything pans out. And I honestly believe, I told him that winning that Derby, his stock has went way up.
Oh, yeah.
For real.
So I want to talk about the nature of the beast of the Derby. How many sets of tires do you guys go through? Not necessarily just for practice, because right in there talk about all the time, the Derby is a hell of a show, but that is a tire selling machine for some of those teams. Do you go through the same as everybody else, or how many sets did you go through for that weekend?
Listen, when we show up to win the Derby, we don't even care.
Yeah.
They look at me and say, how many sets are going to get us? How many is it going to take?
That's right.
I think we bought, I want to say Derby, counting the 3 sets in the qualifying set, I think we bought 10 or 11 sets.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Oh.
Hey, dude, they used to show up with 10 sets before they bought tires.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have tires on that car to do what you need to do. If you come there to run on 3 sets of you have to have 4 sets of tires for the race. You're already buying those.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do with the other sets? All right. So we, and that's not counting testing. I think we probably burned 14 or 15 sets up.
Damn.
Wow.
But
that's a lot of rubber.
It's what you want to win the Derby, or don't you?
Yeah, that's it.
We're there to win the Derby. We I laugh because they say we're the underdog and we're the little team against the Giants. Me and Pat just look at each other and laugh and go, we got 11 cars in the shop. we may not be racing like we used to. We may not have 11 now, but it's a little less than that, but they have no idea. There's no expense spared. There's no budget. We have a budget, but we go to that race to win it, whatever it takes.
Well, and
that's kind of what you do.
And that was the whole thing, because I've seen Larry Blount and I've seen Jet Motorsports run some badass races in the time that I've been involved with this. So, so talk about that aspect about it, to where it was the little team that could. I keep seeing all of this about it, but just kind of knowing, I mean, your history and the Jet history and with JC and Caden now. Is this a little bit of a shift to where you guys go in and you beat Donnie Wilson, you beat Stephen Nassy, you beat Bubba Pollard, you beat all these guys? Is this kind of one of those things where it's like the foot into the ground and say, hey, it's a new day. It's a new day to where things can really happen for other teams other than the usual suspects?
You have to have all the pieces. I mean, so Pat, we don't have full-time professional people working at the shop. We have one guy.
Mm-hmm.
and then Pat works there, and he has a business and I have a business. So we're not a full-time race team, and we have no sponsors. Like we fund this thing all on our own. Nobody helps us. We spend all the money because we love to do it, and that's why we're there to win. But those if you have the right people in the right places when it comes time to race, you can do really well. And we see those people, and when we show up to race, we know who to call. We get the same guys, as best we can. But you have to have a driver, and you have to have the right crew chief to go with the driver and the spotter.
Sure.
To make it all work. So it's not full time, so that makes it fun.
Yeah, no doubt.
Really, I got to say, it was a cool deal to watch you guys win that race. Not only just because of the connection we have with Caden and JC, but that watching you guys, you and Jed over the years, kind of, just beating it out with the big boys and hanging in there and kicking ass. Like it was a cool deal for me and Ronnie to watch that for the Snowball Derby. So from all of us here at Texas, congratulations on that. Like I teased Caden, I said, the Snowball Derby shirt is the only shirt you want your name on more than your own race shirts. So congratulations on that deal. Thanks for joining the show. So
thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, man. Take care. Congratulations, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, bud.
You bet. There he goes, Larry Blount. And I love that what he was talking about right there, because it was, I mean, I've seen Larry, and of course with Jet Motorsports, I mean, like he was talking about, this goes all the way back to Ryan Lugia, when he would jump into those race cars. And it's like, I don't know. I do know. I do know why so many people were stunned when this group came together and won that race. But damn, it was really cool to watch. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm a sentimental dude. When Caden and when they won that race, my ass was in tears in a hotel in Springfield, because it was just that gratifying that those dudes were able to pull that off.
We saw my text during my ordeal, and you text me right at the right time. I needed a little bit of good news at that point, so to know that they ended up winning the Derby, that's pretty damn cool. So definitely a good deal. I mean, I think that's good for winning is good, and winning the big race like the Derby's better. But when you know the people, right, have that personal connection, like you said, when you've got cell phone numbers of winning crew chiefs and winning drivers, like that makes it that much more special. That's what I was telling Elizabeth. I was like, she says, well, what? She says, I've heard that name before. I said, yeah, you hear that name a lot. She says, well, what's the deal? I said, I have his cell phone number. I can send him a text and say, hey, congratulations for winning the biggest race of the year. And he'll text me back. And he did. I hadn't got a chance to text JC, been, a little preoccupied, a little busy this week. But yeah, that's just a kick-ass deal. Two of our favorite people have both been on the show. So like you said, it's that revved up effect.
I'm telling you, man, it's really cool that happens right there. And exactly what you were saying. I mean, honestly, the first person that I text when he crossed the checkered flag, when he went, across the start finish line, I messaged Kirby. I'm like, dude, can you fucking believe this? I'm like, congratulations. And immediately, Kirby replies, and then I go to JC and then Caden, and it was in a very timely manner. And it does really go back to me, because I call my wife, I was in a different state, and I said, Caden Honeycutt won the Derby. And I mean, she doesn't know, but she hears that name a lot. And she's like, isn't that young dude? I'm like, that is the young dude right there.
That's young dude. That's right.
That we talk about all the time. And it's just really cool that happens right there. And I do think that for Caden, that he is about to embark into something that is really about to push him into a different level to where, I mean, and again, back to Kirby. I mean, Kirby, a while back, sent me a sponsorship proposal. He's like, put this in front of anybody. And I sent it to a lot of people, but it takes a lot of money to do this. But I just think that, isn't it funny that winning a super late model race, a short track race, has put this dude in a position to where he is one of the most known commodities in asphalt racing and dirt racing right now. It's unbelievable to see how it's happened for him.
He's probably going to be the most well-known guy that's not part of a factory team, and nothing against Nice. Don't get me wrong; they get some of that. As far as we know, they get a little bit of Chevrolet support, but he's not one of those guys that run for Tricon. Not one of the guys that's going to run for Thorsport. He's going to be the most well-known commodity, and I guarantee you, Fox Sports will end up doing a story on him about winning the Snowball Derby. At some point, we're going to get to watch it during a Truck Series broadcast for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the other part of it too, where he has, we mentioned it, and then Larry talked about it as well, to where it is one of those things to where you look at Alex Bowman and you look at Tony Stewart and you look at, these guys, Larson, the guys that are able to do this in different disciplines. And I think that I'd love to see Caden Honeycutt run a road race. He has, I know, but it's one of those things to where I think that we will see him maybe in a big. This only opens up bigger opportunities in a dirt late model, and all these different things. I think to where his talent's really going to be showcased.
The only problem with him and JC running trucks is that we don't get to see him at COTA this year. That's the drawback. We don't get to see all of our friends in the truck series this year.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be something there that kind of sucks with the way that works out. But again, we got to talk about JC. We know that dude so well, and I know a lot of our Texas friends that are checking in. To see that right there, it's really good that these two guys were afforded the opportunity, and like Larry talked about, to where the underdog thing. When you put a lot of really, really good people together, like Larry was just talking about, good things are going to happen because that talent is going to outweigh, whatever the quote unquote things that are against them. And they dominated that race. They really did. There was no doubt at the end of that was your guy. A lot of times you have guys that maybe for one reason or the other, they get a Derby victory or the Southern Super Series, whatever. That was the best car all day long, even better than Ty Majeski, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really was. He had the field covered, and I thought he was going to win that pole, man. Because that was just such a lights out lap. But that's qualifying. And I think the biggest thing with the Derby though is the last chance race was good, but it wasn't that all-star race like it normally is. That year we went, I guess it was 2020, had like Casey Johnson and Harrison Burton and had Rich Bickle and a bunch of those guys that were in it. It was like an all-star race anywhere else around the country, but hell, at the Derby it was the last chance race. So
yeah. That's a thing. When you get over there and like Larry was talking about it, and I think that's one thing to where, because I have heard that before, but not the way that Larry described it, but in a more negative aspect, to where it's like, well, they don't have as many cars as they used to have. How many tires? How many sets of tires?
15 sets?
Yeah. That tells you right there how hard that is. The fact that they still pull together that kind of field and that quality of driver. And I think that this is really where the Derby has become full circle, because you do get west, north, east, everywhere, south. Now you get all of that together. They go and they run that race, and whoever comes out of that, they're going to be the champion for a year, and they're going to be talking about that. And it's really, really damn cool that we got a guy from Texas that finally is in that spot.
No, it's really cool. It was a good story. It's still a good story a couple of weeks later. So it's it's just awesome. It's good. It's good when good things happen to good people.
It really is. It really is. And that goes back to, because there are so many people, and I would love to have Caden on here at some point once everything kind of calms down, because I know he's going to talk about people that we all know that Caden's a dude where he and Kirby, and this is something that Kirby taught him, that they're going to remember all of the folks that have helped him along the way. I tell the story so many times where that year at COTA, where I walk up to Caden and he's at the back of the niece hauler, and there are all these people from Fox and NBC and MRN, all these different people that wanted to talk to him, and he like brushed them aside, and he came and shook my hand and gave me a hug, and he just wanted to talk to me. And that's the kind of dude that he is. And like you said, it's really cool to see that happen to a good dude like that.
I sent you the promo from Votto. I texted it to you. I went and found it. This got his number 10 black late model on it. So it's cool, man. It's always, like I said, when you know somebody, it makes it like when Corey Roper almost won the Daytona truck race a couple of years ago, but got pushed out just a little bit too far and got freight trained there at the end. It's 2 laps to go, and you're in your cave. I'm in my living room, jumping up and down, going, "Come on, Corey, go, go, go!" And it's always sweeter when you know them. Of course, problem is now we know so many of them now that it's hard to pick a favorite nowadays. But Caden and JC up on our list for sure, even before they won the Derby.
And I will tell you that I do think that there's a really good talent pool here of drivers within the region that are able to do these kind of things, and it really comes down to being to get that right opportunity and to make the most of it. And when Caden's one of those dudes to where he's a younger guy, but absolutely nothing has been handed to him, and he's had to work for everything. And I think that makes it probably a little bit sweeter for all of them.
I think it is too. And you think about it, it's like the moments have never been too big for him.
Yeah.
When it comes time and the pressure's there, he hasn't cracked under the pressure. When he ran the Derby for Donnie Wilson in that high profile ride and had that spotlight shining right on him, bright as a summer day, right in the middle of December, he didn't crack under pressure. He didn't get blinded by the light. Same thing with kind of coming this deal. I think they went in a little under the radar. Which sometimes is a good thing because they didn't have the bullseye put on them. And obviously, but now next time they show up at a racetrack, that bullseye is going to be right there, big and bold. So, but I think all those guys, Larry, JC, Caden, they'll all be up to the task for that. So
yeah. And for Larry, I mean, like I mentioned there, I mean, I've watched Larry Blount for years out there racing in one of these situations, and it just goes back to like he was talking about there with Jet Motorsports, to where that alliance was there, that possibility was there, but they never really pulled the trigger on that, like he talked about. And this is where you can chase these things so far back to where you're and what a better was there not a better time in asphalt short track racing for them to pull that alliance together, to get all of those pieces together with Larry and Jet and with JC and Caden. Never a better time to do it than this year, because the big focus was on this. And you mentioned it, Bobby, where I think that this year was so much bigger to me in the sense with, obviously we're on Racing America. The show is on Racing America, but the fact where, because I did it. I mean, I did it Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, to where whether I'm at the Dome or in a hotel room sitting there watching, I'm going back and forth. And it's like Dome, Derby, Dome, Derby. This is on this huge, massive platform, and they secured that win. Pretty badass.
yeah, probably the biggest Derby in a long time.
Absolutely. Good stuff right there from Larry Blount as the 21 car with Caden Honeycutt behind the wheel and the Allegiance there with Jet Motorsports. They win the Snowball Derby in Pensacola. This past weekend, we had some hellacious racing going on out at one of our favorite places, South Texas Race Ranch over in Corpus Christi. And I got to tell you, man, watching them IMCA stock cars slip and slide around there. Oh, man. Love IMCA stock cars. Dirt late models, IMCA stock cars for me, not necessarily in that order, but to watch that going on and seeing stock cars here at the race ranch was really cool. We bring in the man that wins that race. It is our man, Shelby Williams. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, pretty good.
Man, glad to have you aboard on the program, my friend. Kind of talk about the weekend. Pretty damn dominating performance out there at the race ranch.
Yeah, we started out Thursday with practice, and then did that time trial stuff, and had my transponder on charger all day. And I go to put it on, and it was dead.
Oh shit!
So we go out there that first session, and it didn't pick up. So I went and rented one, and we go out there the next couple sessions, and it's not on there. So I messaged the KR. I'm like, hey, my times ain't showing up. Like, can I get that added, whatever? And they're like, oh, well, it's on there. We just can't add it because then you'd have to like reset it, all that. And so I didn't get to see my times at all. And so I'd have to message him like, hey, what was that time? Like every time I'd come back in. So set fast time. I went out there just the right time when the track got good. And then Friday we watched it rain all day.
Jeez.
Got to eat some good food, and that's my favorite part about going to the races and the 2 and 3 day shows. We take our Blackstone, and we'll have breakfast in the morning, all that, and cook some hamburgers at night. And
Nice.
so we did all that and just hung out Friday, went to the beach a little bit. And then Saturday we just had a whole lot of racing.
That's right.
So, Shelby, how happens to the track change from that Sunday or that Saturday afternoon into Saturday night? I mean, they worked the track in between the two races, but man, there for a while, and that's in that afternoon session when y'all were redoing some stuff, them cars were slipping and sliding. It looked like they were a hell of a handful there on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I actually liked racing in the daytime better. Just you can see better, and it's a lot more clear, and it was a lot more fun. But it was a little wild the first race for some reason. It was kind of like demo derbies, and I just started taking some rubber out there in the middle, and I was obviously way too tight for that. So I just kind of rode around third, fourth, and everything, and didn't really want to try to do anything and tear anything up since we were racing right after that. So I was really just content, running third or fourth right there, and then just working on it for the next race, and it kind of just worked out. And the 2 leaders got together, and I ended up in the lead. So I just kind of stayed. I seen where they were getting to Jeffrey. They would enter a little bit lower and kind of slide up and getting into him. So I just started protecting and entering where they were at. That way they couldn't get under me. And then we had that restart, and I kind of missed the entry once, and then Matt got right beside me, so we kind of had a drag race there at the end. But the second race was like what I like, it was just good racing. It was side by side, not a lot of rubbing, and it was a lot better race.
Mm-hmm. So Shelby, kind of the thoughts right there on the race ranch, because I mean they don't get IMCA stock cars out there. I mean, when I saw that they were added there to the Outlaw 34, I'm like, all right, man, you get factories and IMCA stock cars with the other stuff. Kind of your thoughts, outside of the track prep, because I know that was kind of, and I think they nailed it from everything that I saw. But kind of your thoughts on that. That's a racy little joint right there, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a really good time. I mean, it was the heat races. When early on, it didn't kind of get cleaned off a whole lot, but it was still, you could still pass too wide and all that, and make some moves if your car was good. And then feature time come around, and it was really racy. I watched that factory stock race, and that was really impressive. The stock car race was really good. I got some screenshots on my phone where they were 4 wide sometimes, and then there's one where there's about 15 cars in the corner, like all bunched up 2 and 3 wide, and it was, for what they got, I don't know if it could have been any better without the rain. Like, I mean, it was really racy, really smooth. There was like 1 or 2 holes, but as much mud and water they got off that track, I was expecting to be way worse than that. So I got to give a hats off to them. That was really great racing.
No doubt.
So, Shelby, what do you think of that trophy, dude? That we got a picture of it sit there right by you. That thing's like 6 foot tall almost. You got a spot big enough to put that thing? Or you gonna have to build a new trophy case? What you gonna do with that big old trophy?
Well, I don't really know, because I had a trophy room at my house, and then my wife got a new job, and it's work from home, so she's kind of taking that over and got her desk in there and all that. So I've only got about half a room now. So the rest of my trophies and plaques and all that's at my work office, which is only about a 10 by 20 to design and print and do all these wraps. So it's already too small. So I don't really know. I got some shelves, but they're all full. So they're kind of just sitting on the floor right now, so I can find somewhere to put them. But yeah, we went to draw in the Friday, and I seen them over there. I said, man, that'd be cool just to even have one of them, as much good talent was there and everything. And being a brand new car, I wasn't expecting that. But to get both of them, I just can't believe it.
Yeah. So you get a little bit of time off. IMCA stock cars, I mean, there's not a lot of time off. What's on the horizon now? I mean, what do you have? A couple of weeks to go? The car's obviously dialed in. I mean, what's up next for you here after winning in Corpus?
Yeah, I got about 2.5 weeks, and then I'll be headed to Arizona to race out there.
Colorado, yeah.
And no, this is Casa Grande.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go to Cocopah, but they changed it. And Cocopah raced 2 weeks, and then Casa Grande raced 2 weeks after. But now they're racing 4 weeks there. So I'm going to see how it goes the first 2 weeks and how the car, what shape it's in and all that. And I may stay out there the next 2 weeks if everything's going good. So could possibly be out there for 4 weeks. And then take a week or 2 off of there, try to get some work done, and then head to Florida for the Clash on the Coast. And then I'm not sure about after that. She's got me a whole schedule planned out already. She does all that. She just tells me get in the truck and head this way. So that's what I do.
Take off. That's right.
Yeah.
So, full disclosure, Shelby, KR has been on this show a number of times. He's a good friend of the show. What's it like from a racer's perspective, racing for a show that KR puts on? Because he puts a lot of effort into these things. But what's it like from the driver's perspective, running a show that KR puts on?
Well, I've known him for a long time, and we all know how KR is, So he's a really good dude, and he's really fun to be around. He's always got some jokes, and he's always telling you stories about how he used to win races back when nobody showed up, and he was the only car there or whatever.
That's
but
right.
he's he told me after I had that fast time, he said, I watched you out there. He said, I think I could have been top 5 in that thing. So it must have looked really easy to drive if he thinks he can get top 5 in it. But no, he's a good dude. He's good for the sport. He does things for the racers. He came over there and actually talked to us Friday and was talking about doing this race next year and everything. And he was talking about doing like a 3-week series or something. Just try to get a little points fund going and entice people to come. And we got to talking and everything. I said, well, why don't you just do it a week? That way you can do it for 2 or 3 days, take a beach day, and then
there you go.
That way everybody's here, because it's going to be hard. Like, it's 9 hours for me. So it'd be hard for me to drive down there, race 2 days, come home, do that for 3 weeks in a row. So, he's thinking of what's best for the racers and what would bring the most cars and stuff like that. And, he helps out. He did that Architects for a while, and he did RPM. He's doing Rocket. So he does whatever he can for the racers, and he's a clown sometimes, but he's good for us, and he's always looking out for us.
He's a clown, literally.
Yes.
Very, very much, very much a clown. So I do want to ask you before we cut you loose. I mean, you mentioned there about the factory stock. So with you guys in the stock cars, I mean that to me that's the ultimate dirt stock car is an IMCA stock car. But watching those factory stocks right there, isn't it interesting that they squeeze out everything that they do out of those cars when you read the rules? And it's like, son of a bitch, how do they do this stuff?
Yeah, I actually drove a factory stock
a
couple of years ago here and there, and then I drove one this year at Rocket and did pretty good in them. But yeah, they're it makes you think that maybe the stock car guys are overthinking and making it more complicated than it's got to be. Because even like on that practice night when we was doing time trials, the factory stock quick time was 18.521, and I was at 18.522. So they were actually, whatever that is, faster than us.
Wow.
So, they've got a bigger tire and less motor.
Yep.
Which, they took the motor out of the mods and put a crate in them, and they got faster. So they can hook up every horsepower they got, and they don't have to overpower it. And I think we've got so many adjustments on these stock cars that a lot of times we just adjust ourselves out of it instead of just keeping it simple and just making a few tweaks here or there. We always think we got to be a hero and make too many adjustments. So factory stocks kind of just keep it simple. They got 4 shocks and springs, and they don't have a whole lot of adjustments. You just kind of got what you got.
Yeah, well, but they can't lift up that left front like y'all do.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks cool, but at the end of the day, it's not the fastest way all the time. So
yeah.
I'd much rather be on all fours. And it's like, that rubbered up the first race, and I was just way too tight. I couldn't get under anybody and do nothing. And then Cody's car is pretty flat, and he could get under us and maneuver and get around people. And so I definitely don't like the 3-wheel, and it looks cool, makes cool pictures and all, but I prefer not to have that.
Yeah, it's not the best traction.
So, Shelby, before we cut you loose, talk about this car. You said it's a new car. Tell us a little bit about the car before we cut you loose.
Yeah, I started building it in 2019, actually, and because I've always had my home built cars, we just build our own stuff, and so we started building a new one because mine was pretty old at that time, and I went to some races and met Leslie Gill, and we become pretty good friends, and he ended up getting in a wreck. And I went over there and helped him load up and everything. It's all demolished and everything. So I went and helped him and got him loaded up because he's over there by himself. And then a couple days later, he sent me a message on Facebook, asked for my address. So I sent it to him. I didn't think nothing about it. And a couple days after that, I had a check in the mail.
Oh.
So I sent him a message like, what's this for? He said, well, I just appreciate you helping me. He said, nobody's ever helped me like that, and they always just get in the truck and leave or whatever, don't help me. And he said, I just appreciate your help. I said, well, I didn't do it for the money. I don't know anything about you, nothing, but I didn't do it for the money. I just did it just to help you. And become really good friends. And then we got to talking and stuff. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to go up north? I'm going to go up there and do some racing. You want to go with me?" And I said, "Well, my car is like a 2010 home built car. Like, it's beat up, it's bent up. Like, I'm not going to take this up there and go race with them guys." And said, I'll go with you and help you or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, "Well, I got this brand new car sitting here that I'm not using, so I'll just bring it to you."
Damn.
So he delivers me a car. You know, he has no idea who I am, like nothing about me, nothing. He just brings me this $50,000 race car. He's like, "Here, just drive this."
Holy shit.
So I drove that for the rest of the year, and then he got me the new B&B, so I raced it. And then just this year I had got the B&B house car and stuff, and I just wanted to try some different things. You know, we've got our own ideas. You know, they race on a bunch of mud up there and bigger tracks, and so everything up there don't really relate to down here. And I just felt like I was struggling a little bit down here, and when it slicked off and stuff. And we do pretty much everything opposite. Like, if somebody's running a soft spring, we're running stiff spring. If somebody's running stiff, we're running soft. Like, it's just me and my dad. We've always just been that way. Just kind of never satisfied and just always thinking out of the box. You know, like, hey, let's try this. Like, what we got to lose? So at one time, we actually had 13-inch rear springs that were 250 rate, and we put them in the front of the car. And it worked really good. Like, I won every single race I had that in. And then the next year they changed the rules. You had to have 9.5 front springs.
Of course, yeah.
So we're always trying things. We got 2 cars, and he'll try some and say, "Hey, that sucks," or I'll try something, but, "Hey, that's good. Try this." And
yeah.
So it helps having him out there, and he can drive just as good as me, and kind of try different things. If it works, it does. If not, then we just don't do it again. But so I just wanted to try my own things. We changed a bunch of things on it, and it's pretty good so far. I haven't really changed much. I've set it up like it is, and I haven't changed anything. It's just been good. So
yeah,
I'm pretty excited about it.
That's the whole thing, man. It's got to be good for you. I mean, I know racing pavement street stocks, we would run some really crazy stuff that people think it shouldn't have worked, but it worked for us. I mean, everybody's different. I mean, tendencies, all that shit is different. And well, obviously whatever you're doing is working, man, because you take home the Outlaw 34, winning it in the stock cars, my man. Congratulations, my brother. Thank you for jumping on with us, and we'll touch base beginning of the year. Let's do this more often, brother.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. There he goes, Shelby Williams in the stock cars, man. That was really cool to see them out there at the race ranch, because you don't see that very often. Really, and a great car count. I mean, they showed up. I mean, they showed up.
Most of them came from a long ass way too.
They really did, man. And I think that's what made it even cooler was that you did have where everything got pounced into one day. So I'm sure it kind of sucked for them, like he was talking about with the different track conditions and so forth. But all in all, man, stock cars, man, put them on that schedule every now and then, Owen and KR, because I think that's something that'll work really well there.
They look natural down there.
I know.
They really did. They look natural.
I know. What I love about that track, what I love about the race ranch, and again, I've only raced it a couple of different times, but that back straightaway, when you dive onto that back straightaway, it kind of has that little bit of a kink to it, and you kind of drive it up there, and that's where those stock cars look really cool, because I know he said that three-wheeling is not the most conducive thing, but man, when that car lays over and they dive into turn 3 and then come out of turn 4, man, that looked really, really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff for the optics this weekend there down at the race ranch. Yeah. Lots of really good promo photos to be taken. Cars, in most classes, the factory stock's the same way. 2, 3, 4 wide, coming out of the corners, going into the corners, fanning out. So I mean, there was some good optics this weekend.
Yeah,
down there for the race ranch. So I think that's good. That opened the eyes to a lot of people, just because there's, it showcases the ability of some of the guys we have down here that don't always get to go north.
It's a destination thing. I really think that place can do some really cool things, because like he was talking about, people want to go to the beach. They want to do different things. And I think that's something that will bode well, moving forward. So hopefully that will continue. So that was Shelby Williams, a winner right there of the IMCA stock cars. And then you had You had the big one. You had the Outlaw 34. And again, for the folks that don't know that may be checking in around the country, the Outlaw 34, Greg Carlucci Sr., that is one of the staple names there in Corpus Christi, all the way back to CC Speedway, you know, the asphalt track. They gravitated over. They ran dirt. But, Bobby, the Carlucci family, just good people. Greg Jr., I mean, Greg's been on this show. Ryan, I mean, it's just good people all the way around.
Yeah, no, Carlucci's are pretty cool. They are definitely, like I said, synonymous with the history of racing down in Corpus Christi in South Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. So diving in, it is now, I mean, as we go back to back to back, that $3,400 on the line, 52 factory stocks, I think it was, that showed up through the turnstiles right there, even with weather happening in Corpus Christi. It's the dude that took home the pot, not the pot in a bad way, took home the big money. It is Mason Martin. Mason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
Man, doing really, really well. So have you spent all that money yet? Have you gone out and just blown all that on something else?
I haven't yet. I'm thinking about putting it all back to the car as of right now.
Smart man right there.
That's a different answer than we normally get. You know, sometimes they say strippers and new wraps, but you know, I guess either way, you're going to get gold on the car, right? No, congratulations, Mason, on a hell of a win. Like Rodney said, with really stout competition. Talk about that race, having to pull that double header, though. What did it change for you from that afternoon into the evening?
Well, that first race of the night, we had a lot of problems Thursday with the car. We probably only made about 5 laps Thursday altogether because the car wouldn't run at all. It popped and banged the whole time. We had just lots of problems. We were trying to change everything from the back to the front of the car. And Friday came along. The car caught on fire Friday night after the rain. Burnt all the electrical up around the carburetor, trying to change the carburetor out. And finally got that going. With that first race of the night, that evening, Thursday or Saturday morning when we were racing, the transmission blew out in the transfer spot to make the A Saturday night, and we got back and the dipstick blew out of the transmission, lost all the fluid.
Oh, God.
So we went through a lot of problems with that car. It was the first night on that car after getting rebuilt, and I'm just glad we came. That was the biggest accomplishment of my racing, and for all the crew that we had down there, my dad and everybody, and all of our sponsors, after going through the problems we had all week.
Yeah. So Mason, talk about the race itself. I mean, you got Faulkner up there. You got Faulkner. You know, everybody knows who that dude is. Jared Maupin is another one of those guys. Kind of talk about that right there, because that was one hell of a battle where those guys are going at it, and you end up winning that thing. Kind of walk us through that entire sequence at the end of that race.
Yeah, I was kind of glad for the caution at the end of the race where I was running 4th, and that restart, I kind of lost everything. I fell back to probably 8th or 9th on the restart, and finally catch them back in. I was waiting for them. I wanted them to battle the whole time, and then us 3 got up there, and we had a battle for at least 3 or 4 laps. And I was just glad the car stuck, and we went 3 wide for about a lap and a half, and the car stuck right there at the end, pulled away from it. I was just glad to race with them clean, no bumping, no nothing. We just raced clean from there, and it was real clean racing all weekend for everybody. I mean, everybody did a good job, and I was just glad for the clean racing at the end of the race for that big of a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mason, how much did the track I know you didn't get a lot of track time, but does the track with all that extra sand and stuff down there by the beach, does that change the setup for you? Did you have to kind of think outside the box, or is it just a normal dirt track for what you're used to?
I didn't really change much on that car. I mean, we probably just changed the left rear spring all weekend, and we went from a 325 to a 400 for the feature all day Saturday. And that's about the only thing we really changed on that car. I used to race that car about 2019. It was my own personal car when I first started driving factory stocks. And then my dad's best friend bought the car from us and won a few races in it. And he said, I'm buying another car for myself. Would you want to drive this car for the big race? And I was like, yeah, I'd drive it for you for all the big races and stuff like that around home. And we're thinking about running the King of the Hill again next year. And we're going to go run that 10,000 at Super B now. I'm thinking about taking my own stock car to Boone this year to run with all them guys up there. And we're going to hit that 30,000 at Boot Hill. And hopefully we have a good of an ending as we did this weekend up there.
I heard that. Mason, talk about that part. I mean, kind of watching everything that you've been doing right there. You talk about stock cars. You race a factory stock this weekend, but definitely not everything that you do. Talk about all the different divisions, classes, and et cetera that you compete in.
I race a IMCA limited mod. We're going to be at I-37 for that big race coming up here in the end of January, beginning of February. I did take my own stock car down to South Texas, and we had a few motor problems on Saturday night, but we ran third that first feature behind Shelby and Matt.
Mm-hmm.
And we're thinking about running all the big races, that 100,000 to win coming up in July up there that Ricky Thornton won last year. Mm-hmm. And we just want to be the guy out there that people talk about in the future. And like they talked about Dalton and Jared Maupin in the factory stocks, I want to be one of those guys that they talk about in the future when we show up there to race.
I heard that.
But winning the big one down at the race ranch is probably kind of helped that stock a little bit. Driving wise, when you switch between a stock car and a factory stock, obviously different wheels, different tires, different motor combinations. Do you personally, the way that your driving style is, do you have to change a lot on how you drive the two, or you pretty much, it's just seat of the pants and you just roll with what the track gives you?
Well, I kind of just roll with it most of the time, but with the stock car, I kind of got to like ease my foot off into the gas with the motors that we have in those cars and the little tires that we have compared to the factory stock with the bigger tires and stuff like that. But the factory stock, I can get in the gas a lot harder and drive it harder than I can my own personal stock car without spinning out or running into somebody. And it's a lot easier to tear stuff up in the stock car with all the suspension problem, like stuff we have and all the stuff we can change besides a factory stock, all the stock suspension and everything and stuff like that.
So kind of what you're talking about right there, Mason, and talking to Shelby right before you, is that one of those reasons that we see guys that maybe get out of a stock car into a factory stock to where, I mean, maybe it's a little less money, but at the same time, like he said, maybe the stock car, you're overthinking it a little bit to where in one of these factory stocks, you just kind of get out there, elbows up, and just drive the piss out of it.
Yeah, I feel like the same way about the eco mods and limited mods around here, around RPM and everything. The eco mods, some of the guys that run limiteds, they usually go down to eco when their cars aren't compatible with the limited mods these days with all the different, like Cody Smith, you got to go out run at mostly the big races and stuff like that. And I don't think they usually can keep up with him because he's one of the better limited drivers that we know of around this area. And so that you see some of those guys move down to the eco mods to be able to compete a little bit better and be able to make the show.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. So your schedule wise, so are you a money chaser? Are you a race chaser? I mean, describe your program that you got. Or is it just when somebody says, here, drive this, go here? I mean, how do you determine your race schedule?
Well, my race schedule, we pretty much race at Big O a lot. It's like 15, 20 minutes from our house. We go there almost every weekend, unless there's a big race that we want to go race and we think we have a shot at it. Usually we chase the money most of the time. And then sometimes we just chase the weekly racing if it's a weekly show or something to support our local tracks and stuff like that. And then we'll hit the big shows every once in a while to see if we can compete or not.
Yeah. I have to tell you, Mason, if I'm ever at one of your races, I am never going to forget your name. I love what you told the announcers over there. Is that one of those things to where it's like what you were just talking about, where you talk about Dalton and all these guys, where is that you're just so full of adrenaline to where you're like, man, you will not forget my name, dude. That was so great. I love that.
Yeah, I want to be remembered when we go to places. And like, I look at some heat races, like when I see the lineups and stuff and I see Dalton or Jared Maupin in my heat, I'm like, man, I got to go against one of those guys in my heat. And it's going to be pretty hard. I want to be like one of those guys that they say, man, this guy's in my heat. He's going to be hard to beat and stuff like that.
And you're getting on our live feed right here, because we're live. Obviously, you know that. I've never heard him talk this much. So, dude, I guess the big win worked because, man, you're apparently talking more than usual.
Yes.
No, that's really good stuff. So what's next? The next one for you? I think Bobby already asked that. I'm sorry if I'm asking that again.
Yeah, the race for our team is going to be the I-37.
37, that's right.
And then we're also going to hit the Big O's got a 2,500 to win factory stock show coming up. And then we're also going to hit Boone. We're going to hit Batesville and everything in the stock car. Yeah. And we're going to hit Boot Hill a lot for that 30,000. We're gonna hit Super B for the 10,000 coming up. Arklatex. We're just hit all the big races mainly this year. With me also going to college, it's kind of hard to hit every race possible that we can. With me being in college, and we're just gonna hit most of the races that I'm able to go to and stuff like that.
Nice.
All right. Well, we can't go. What school?
I go to Tyler Junior College as of right now.
Absolutely.
That's not a bad school, dude. That's not a bad school. That's a good school.
Not at all.
So what are you planning to be once you race car driver, and what's the field?
I plan on being a game warden as of right now.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool right there.
Yeah, that's a good nickname, the Warden. Put that on the front of the car. Watch out, the Warden's coming to get you. That's pretty good.
That's what I'm talking about.
That would be a pretty cool nickname right there.
Yeah, it was, because you slayed this weekend, winning there at the South Texas Race Ranch, the Outlaw 34, a very special. Your thoughts? Was that your first time to Corpus?
That was my third time to Corpus. I went to last year in the limited, and I went 2 years before that in the limited. I've only raced there in the limited mod. Yeah,
kind of your thoughts on just that whole atmosphere over there. That's a very rich racing history town. They really embrace folks that come from out of town. Kind of your thoughts just on the whole atmosphere there with Owen and KR and everything that they did this weekend.
Yeah, my dad used to race there quite a bit when Cody Smith drove for him back in the day. They went there a lot and raced with Whitaker. And I've always heard about it and wanted to race it. And I'm just glad I finally got to be able to race it in my career. And I want to give a shout out to Timmy Hardman for letting me drive his car. And it wouldn't be for him for that factory stock win this weekend. He busted his ass for us this weekend and did a lot of stuff for us trying to fix that car and get it right for us, because we had a chance to load it up on the trailer and we didn't. We decided to stick it out, and I told him we're going to have that check whenever at the end of this weekend if it takes all of us to do it.
Dude, that's awesome. That is so cool.
So we were talking to Shelby about it before we cut you loose. What you gonna do with that big ass trophy? That thing's pretty big for a big race weekend.
Yeah, I got all my other trophies down in the shop, but I kind of got this one lit up as a nightlight in my room right now. So just kind of using it as a nightlight for the weekend.
There you go. There you go. That'll work. That will work. Mason, my man, congratulations on that big win at the race ranch. Good payday right there in a very important race around these parts. Glad you were able to make it down here and take care of business, brother. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from you and about you very, very soon, my man.
Thank y'all for having me.
You bet, man. Take care.
Yes, sir.
You bet. There he goes, Mason Martin. And that was I highly recommend to go back and watch the end of that race, because that was some pretty good stuff right there at the end of that. That was pretty spicy, as I like to say.
Yeah, no, you were pretty excited. You kept texting me pretty much the whole night telling me how good it was. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was working on some other stuff, but that was if your reaction was any indication from sitting in the chair in the studio in the AV Consultation studios watching that race, it was a barn burner and then some to actually have a hell of a show. So
yeah. So again, right here on Revved Up, the Revved Up Livecast live. Another night of, Larry Blount, with what he's done right there, obviously with Shelby Williams winning in the IMCA stock cars, and then Mason right there winning the Outlaw 34, another big weekend over at Corpus. And that is the thing. We've talked about it a couple of different times. He mentioned it there that you've got the race coming up, the Texas Showdown that's going to be happening at I-37. So a really cool thing right there with I-37. And like you mentioned, Bobby, I've been kind of processing that after you mentioned it. I was a little surprised that it was that early. I thought it was going to be deeper in the season when they rescheduled that, but I think it's very smart. I think it's very, very smart, especially with the momentum coming off of what we just saw at the ranch, that they're doing it early, because I think that's going to be a really good weekend. Weather permitting, of course, it'll probably be 90 degrees over there that weekend. But, man, I think that could be another pretty damn big weekend in South Texas.
Well, I think part of it, too, they used to run those USMTS races that early when they would do the triple header, run Cotton Bowl, I-37, run down at the race ranch and stuff to kick off the season. So it's not necessarily uncharted territory for I-37, but I think that it's the lesser of two evils. Like we said, you either run it at the end of the year and hope people show up and aren't burned out, or you run it at the beginning of the year and help people want to kick off their season, running 8 to 10 hours from home. Because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the local people to put their asses in the seats in the grandstands. It's going to take the drivers the local guys, a lot of your Stems guys, which congratulations to James Cole and of ODS Shirts taking over Stems. That's something else we missed when we were gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's just going to take a combination. Everything. Ray was on the show, was really looking forward to that race, really pumping it up, which is as they should. So I think just because it got rescheduled for February, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I think it's just going to take a little bit. It's going to take a different way to market it, I think, this time versus the way to do it before. So
yeah, kind of a little bit of that downtime, because it's one of those things to where you are going to have a little bit of a lapse right there to where not a lot's going on. I mean, you'll have the Chili Bowl, Vado that we're talking about. I mean, you're going to have all of that, but I think here in Texas that you're going to have to really get it in front of people, because it's going to, I think the 30, and this is where 37 along with Corpus, they have a really great, I mean, in Marianne, I mean, all these racetracks, I mean, they have that really good fan base, but to get it in front of some other people, that's a lot of money on the line. That's going to be a lot of money on the line over there in that race.
And of course, you know, when they first canceled, it's like, is it really going to rain that weekend? Yeah, you know what? It rained its ass off that race weekend that they were supposed to do that. So they made the right call in canceling the races, because it was just nasty and dreary all weekend. So it's, you know, that a lot of times people give racetracks shit for canceling races, but the 37 made the right call on that, and they called it early.
Yeah,
keep those teams from traveling for no reason at all. So, so Ray and them are looking out for the guys and gals that race at their racetrack. So it's, I was disappointed to see it rained out, but also happy to see that they still decided to roll with it and try it again. So that's the best. That's the best thing. They could have just threw their hands up and said, "Well, we tried to do it. Mother Nature didn't like it, so we're not going to do it at all." But no, they threw their hands up, pissed off at the weather, and put their hands back in the dirt and said, "Hey, let's race again." So
yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. That one will be coming up. And again, we're talking about the Race Ranch coming up in 2025. I think some really big things on the horizon right there for that. And this is a springboard right here. So, again, a big win right there for Owen and the crew. I mean, I've obviously the last couple of years working with them, I've gotten to know them really well, and to that track crew and Owen directing them and working with them to be able to put that all together, you know, with the rain and getting that in and doing essentially a 1.5 day show right there. Pretty damn impressive. Guys, we always talk about audiovisual consultations. I've got Monday Night Football on throughout the studio right here. AV Consultations, that's right here in Round Rock. If you want, I call it the home speedway system. Tom calls it a home theater system. I call it a home speedway system. Coming up for race time, 255-8678. You can check them out. Here's a word from our man, Tom McKay with AV Consultations.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations. Today's home electronics can be a bit daunting. My company has spent the last 36 years making sure they are not. For those of you who have not experienced our services yet, we'd like to invite you to give us a try for all your home electronics needs. We carry all the major brands of televisions and stereo equipment at prices you can't find in stores. And we come to you. There's no need to leave your home to find great pricing and incomparable service. No traffic, inexperienced sales geeks, or pushy showroom tactics. We believe in having some fun and dreaming big. Do you have a dream for your home entertainment? Let us know. We can make it come true. And we are always there to help after the job is done. We cultivate clients for a lifetime by treating everyone like their family. No, not those family members. I'm talking about the ones you actually like. So relax, hug your kids, make love to your wife, and smile. Then, when you have a moment, give us a call at 255-8678. That's 512-255-8678. Or online at avconsultations.com.
Clicks over. And I want to tell you something really cool about Tom. It's been a lot going on around our family here. You know, we have one that graduated this past weekend, and then we had another that went and got her own place. Tom McKay, you know, everything that he's done for me, he outfitted her with an amazing television for the youngest in her new spot right there. So she is living the AV consultation life herself. Again, friends, don't forget about my race pass. We're talking about a little bit of a break right here in the racing season as we dive back in again. I highly recommend, if you're at a dirt track, even the asphalt tracks, because I know in Houston they've started to use this as well. My race pass, you can be in the know with everything that's going on. It's a really, really cool thing to have on your device. Here's a word from my race pass.
Welcome to the My Race Pass app, the #1 app for motorsports fans. We want to make sure you get the most out of your My Race Pass app experience. With your new free account, you can use the My Race Pass app to see race day information, including event entries and official lineups and results for over 600 organizations across North America. You can also see track information and purchase online event tickets for select tracks. With your free account, you can also search for a track or series on the My Race Pass app and favorite their profile to receive news and race day notifications on your mobile device. To see more information and to see which app subscription is best for you, be sure to visit getmrpapp.com. My Race Pass, the ultimate racing resource.
That thing really is cool. I mean, and again, Race Monitor as well. But I mean, My Race Pass, I mean, you can dig into that thing. I will tell you, as a race announcer, I save so much in paper with My Race Pass.
Yeah, no, it's a great resource. Is every once in a while you get down a rabbit hole. Not as bad as like a YouTube rabbit hole, but you definitely get into a rabbit hole there on My Race Pass trying to get, if the guys and gals take advantage of the tool. Make sure they fill out the profile right, keep the profile updated, make sure the hometowns are updated. As long as you're taking advantage of the tools that are there within front of you, I think it's a great resource. But people sometimes forget, that's my 2 or 3 year old car. Yeah, I had lived in that hometown in a couple of years. That sponsor pissed me off, or I got somebody else. And just take advantage of the opportunity that My Race Pass is giving you and make sure all that stuff's up to date.
It's pretty damn simple to get in there and update that stuff. I mean, I look at pictures of drivers in there. I check driver profiles, and I'll tell you what I really love about My Race Pass is that, we have begged people for results, and of course we don't get them, but we continue to give results because we go there and find them. But it's like I see drivers on there, and it's like a somebody my age, driver, and they still got their like high school photo on there. I'm like, come on, man, update that. Come on. Yeah, it's easy. It's free. Get in there and do that. Just takes a little bit of time.
Little time, little effort go a long way.
Boy, isn't that right? Isn't that right? Bobby did want to mention you had the 604, the XR Nationals this past weekend. Randy Dream Weaver, $100,000 won in Florida.
Was that the 60? Was that the 604 at Alltech?
Yeah, man.
Heard good. I didn't get to watch it, but I heard really good things about it.
I didn't see it. I watched bits and pieces of it. I saw some highlights of it, but that's a hell of a lot of money to win in Florida in the off season, I guess, if you want to call it that. But that there is no off season, I think, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you have.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that just goes. I think a lot of that just goes to what kind of race car you have. I mean, now like and the region and stuff too. Florida's nice weather all year round. I don't think that they only get cold enough to end up knocking iguanas out of the trees, but.
Yeah.
It's cold in Florida when they do a freezing iguana warning where they or freezing iguana watch where the iguanas get cold and fall out of the damn trees.
It'll get cold there, like right around the time of when New Smyrna and all of them are getting ready to go. It'll get a little cool over there. You'll probably have a couple of rainouts here at New Smyrna, and then with everything that's going on with all of that, I mean, you'll have a little bit of time. And see, this is why we do this show right here. This is where it's so cool that we get to do this live, working on my micro sprint. He's in the shop. I don't know. I don't know where he is, but he's checking out the program right here live as we're going on.
That's the joy. It's in your pocket, in the palm of your hand, hell up on your TV. If you got the YouTube app on the TV, watch us up there. So we are the original show that started it all.
Been doing it a long time. Been doing it a long damn time. Did want to touch on something I saw on NASCAR social media today, Bobby. And again, we cover it all here. I mean, you are going to get every bit and piece of whatever. And again, during the off season, probably the thought is, and we say off season because there's going to be races that are going to be going on, but we'll try to filter in more legends. We'll try to figure in more or factor in more, really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. I had somebody mention to me, I got a text the other day, and it's like, hey, are y'all doing 2024 Driver of the Year like I used to do? We didn't run that.
Yeah, we were just a mediator on that, kind of.
Yeah, we didn't run that. It was done here. I mean, we announced it here. So maybe, Bobby, that's something that once we kind of get, past the next couple of weeks, we can figure out. Because I think we should do a Driver of the Year because there are plenty of great contestants and plenty of great drivers that have showcased their talents, and I think that we should do that. The promoter thing, we'll let that pass. But man, maybe you guys, if you want to start messaging Bobby and I via on X or on wherever, kind of give us your thoughts on that. We need a creative way to do that, because I think we should do that. I think we should do that.
Yeah, it's kind of something that slipped our mind.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it happens. I mean,
yeah,
old age will get to you.
it happens, and the gentleman that helped us with that, I mean, he did a really good job with that. I mean, that was I know what happened, but shit, that dude was all over that. So really good stuff right there. I saw that NASCAR said today, I think it was, that I saw on one of the social media sites, that he is in the garage. Our man is in the garage. Well done. Yeah. I don't know if that's like in the garage at home or in a big garage. I don't know, but and I'm not sure where he is.
Gulf Coast Speedway, so he's down in the southeast. So
okay, all right. He might have some cool to deal with, because we sure shit don't have it around here. So I saw that NASCAR could possibly be, and I'm assuming for NASCAR finale weekend, maybe thinking about spreading this thing out. Obviously, it's been at Phoenix. Phoenix, packs the place. All of that is always done. Obviously, a success at Homestead, where the racing was better. That they're maybe going to shuffle that around. Robert, your thoughts on that? I think they do need to move that around. I really do think that they need to move that around a little bit.
I think it's good if they do. The problem is what they're going to run into. I don't know about you. I have been in the Carolinas the first weekend in February. Especially up in the mountains when you're gonna get half-ass up to Winston-Salem. It's gonna be cold as shit in Winston-Salem. But I'll get to it. Hold on. Okay, I got a train of thought. Sometimes compared to normal. But it's really cold, so they're gonna have to. They're limited. The reason I say that about the clash at Bowman Grays, it's really cold. You have that same problem at the end of the year in November. There's only a handful of places that you can go where you can. A little cold weather is not going to hurt, but with a limited chance of rain or weather becoming an issue, there's only so many places you could do it. Texas, Homestead, Daytona, Phoenix, California. There's only, you get to the Midwest, you're screwed. Look at the Chiefs games and all of that. You move it to the Carolinas, it can get kind of cold. Atlanta, same kind of thing there in November, kind of hit or miss. So, does it need to move around? Yeah, that's probably a good idea. But I don't know. You're just so damn limited. Your hands are tied on where you can go where weather's not a factor, because you have your TV partners to think about too. Because if the championship finale is on NBC in November, the most popular program on the planet is Sunday Night Football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're not going to preempt. NASCAR is not going to preempt Sunday Night Football. We got to do Racing Night in America one night at Homestead when it ran long. But it's not going to preempt NFL football. So you got to work with your TV partners on that too.
Yeah, I think that Phoenix, and of course, this whole conversation is because Phoenix, and this is where you go back to all the money that was invested in the reconfiguration and everything that they did there. I mean, I think that you get to so many. Texas is a great example to where you go in and you want to refine and you want to better the product, but at the same time you kind of you go the wrong turn and you've kind of ruined things, and I think that's where Phoenix really is the best spot there in Arizona, because like we said, you sell the place out. I mean, you know that's going to happen. It may be a crap race, but you know that the stands are going to be full, and you know that all of that's going to happen. And while I would like to see it move around, I mean, I really would like to see it move around. I think that's kind of a fail safe right there. And that's where Homestead maybe is the only other alternative there, because you really haven't had weather issues there. So, but it kind of sucks if you're just going to do it. Okay, Homestead this year, then Phoenix the next year. Just leave it where it's at, in that respect for me. So I don't know. We'll watch how that all works out. I mean, I've thought about it many times to where maybe this would be something really cool for TMS, but the
racing's got to be better at TMS before it gets moved there, though.
I know that's a whole thing. And with the whole thing with TMS having, taken seats out and all of that, and you can't really sell out what you have. I mean, that makes it hard. So I think you have two solid markets that will accommodate this. And at that point, just leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Good program. Night of Champions once again. Larry Blount, man, great story. Great story right there with him and Caden Honeycutt. Shelby Williams, Mason Martin, the dudes that won over at the race ranch. And again, a big congratulations to Owen and all the staff over there at Corpus for making. I mean, they made chicken soup out of chicken shit.
They really did.
That was really tough right there. And boom, they were right on it, man. They were right on it and had a plan. I was so surprised that the plan happened that fast. And that, you know what that is? That's being a little proactive.
Yeah.
Proactive is a good thing. Proactive is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yep. No doubt about it. Bobby, my man, you're one of my best buddies. I know you're going through one of the, a tough time right now. I know the next few days are going to be extremely tough for you. I know that a lot of our friends here, you've gotten everything, but man, hang in there. I know it's a hard time, brother. Just kind of keep on, man. Keep on.
Yeah, we're hanging in there.
Yep.
Not an easy road, but we're hanging in there.
Yep. That's right. All right, friends, we will do it again next Monday right here, 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 Eastern. It is hashtag Real Race Talk, the Revved Up Sports Show. We'll figure out that driver of the year thing. We'll get all that figured out. Don't worry. You guys stand
by. A little homework, but we'll figure it out.
A little homework. We got to get a little creative. We'll figure out what we're going to do there. You guys have a great. By the way, speaking of weekend, if you're a football fan this weekend, holy smoke, the big old NFL. Why do they have to get involved with the college football playoff? That's a lot of football on Saturday.
No, it's a lot of football on Saturday.
It's a lot of football on Saturday. It's like, holy smoke. It's pick your poison. It's going to be a lot.
No, you got to live NIL. So, yeah.
Oh God.
Marshall the whole team opting out of a bowl game to follow their coach that the university wouldn't hire. That's when you know they got issues with the transfer portal.
I think that the whole thing is, I mean, Lane Kiffin said it the best, Bobby. It's like, imagine the NFL right now. Free agency opens right now in the middle. I mean, just free to move. It's all this. I mean, all of this is going on, and you've still got football to be played. I mean, it's the almighty dollar. It's NFL light all the way. NFL light.
Well, remind me to tell you when we get off the air about the enemy of my enemy is my friend, the scenario for the football game I'm going to.
Oh, nice. All right. We will certainly do that. All right, you guys, we're going to do it again right here next week. We look forward to
Christmas episode.
Oh, is that right?
That's right. Maybe Monday before Christmas Eve.
Oh, that's right. That's exactly right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You guys hit that, scan that QR code up at the top of the page if you're checking this out on YouTube or Facebook, because what that's going to do, that's going to take you over to the On-Demand Shirts store right there if you want any Revved Up merchandise, and then you can kind of piggyback off of that and go to the official Revved Up Sports Show site where you can get all the archives and all the really cool stuff. All right, you guys, have a great rest of the week. Get holiday ready, get that Christmas shopping done, watch your shipping deadlines, because all that shit is about to get real. Bobby's down south, I'm Rodney up north. Hashtag Real Race Talk right here. It is the Revved Up Sports Show.